love is the answer. Equality for all. Rock along, that's the fire. How could you look in my eyes and abuse me? How could you look in my eyes and refuse me? This is my life, not a movie. This is not news for your TV. I feel pain like you do, and I feel anger like you do, and I feel sadness like you do, and I feel joy too, and I need loving like you do, and I need greetings like you do, and I need the same things like you do. So treat I like I treat you. Such a thin line between love and hate. So patience and compassion I celebrate. What I can't control I appreciate, and everything else will fall in place. Things people do to me makes little sense, like when I'm being discriminated against. But what they don't know, I'll never be bent. I persevere through high resilience. I feel pain like you do, and I feel anger like you do, and I feel sadness like you do, and I feel joy too.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you to our everyday heroes. These heroes are direct support professionals who work with the people we serve. Many of us have been in this field a very long time. Many of us have had the privilege of getting to know people who truly make a difference. You're about to meet some of those people now. I know you're going to be our next everyday hero.
I can't imagine what I do without the help of the direct support professionals. Because of them, my daughter has been able to live a quality life. She now goes into the community and participates in activities that girls her own age enjoy. She is truly a part of her neighborhood. These dedicated heroes are the backbone of the agencies and the lifeline for many families.
Direct support professionals hold the quality of people's lives in their hands. These are the hands that lift people up, the hands that touch, teach, and heal, and the hands that hold and keep people's lives together. Direct support professionals make their mark on the world by implementing 3 ideals. They help people to develop meaningful relationships. They support people to become regulars in places we all frequent, and they travel from old to better to best to support membership, one person at a time.
I don't know why I'm the way I am. I didn't ask to be the way I am. All I know, I am the way I am, and I'm a lot more than what they say I am.
People with disabilities grow through their relationships with others. Direct support professionals are leaders in promoting community relationships. They bring both passion and compassion to the job every day. With perseverance and consistency, they walk side by side with people to ensure their genuine connections with the community. A true test of community connections is if a person is missed when they are absent. Deirdre's story shows the power of advocacy in building these relationships.
Lillian has difficulty maintaining her cool in the community, but I believe that she has the right to be there, and I am a strong advocate for her. When Lillian told us she wanted to go to the library, she called to get information. We figured out how to get there by bus. She even secured a Metro card at the bus terminal. I support Lillian to be as independent as possible, so I step in only when she needs me. Lillian's song about her library adventures teaches us a great lesson in determination and inspires us all to take the next step.
All I ever wanted was the right to do whatever I like. Have the opportunities to make the choice to do the things that empower my life.
At the heart of inclusion is the development of enduring relationships. Community inclusion is not just one-shot trips or outings. When people with disabilities connect regularly with community members in places we all frequent, we increase their opportunities for recognition and friendship. Listen to Mavis's story of how she helped Joe become a real member of a church congregation.
For as long as I have known Joe, he acted out his frustration toward other people. No one really believed he could ever participate in the community, but I believed in Joe. I invited him to join my church congregation. He decided to give it a try, and I could not have hoped for better connections. Joe was invited to pray and sing at 2 services. He attended several birthday parties and a culture night where he represented Italy. Joe has personally met and had conversations with the pastor. Church members ensure he gets his usual seat, which is 4 rows from the front. And when Joe misses services, people inquire about him. Joe has really grown through his participation with the church. Now Joe has a whole new family of people who care.
Such a thin line between love and hate. So patience and compassion I celebrate. What I can't control I appreciate, and everything else will fall in place.
Times have changed for people with even the most severe disabilities. We're moving from old activities that isolate groups of people within large institutions, segregated group homes, or site-based day programs. It's better when people participate as customers, neighbors, and friends. But it's best when people contribute as community members, one person at a time. Paula's story shows how she helped Ron take the next step from old to better to best.
Music has always been a big part of Ron's life. Before his accident at the age of 17, Ron played guitar at his school and in a local band. Ron's accident left him with the use of only one hand. Over the years, he has had lessons with music therapists at the center, and he practices for several hours daily. That was better than Ron trying to teach himself, but he was still isolated from his community. We decided to help Ron make community connections by arranging for him to take piano lessons on the State University of New York at Binghamton College campus. The assistant to the chair of the department helped find a student, Nancy, who was willing to give it a try. The experience was further enriched as Ron became used to the campus and would stop at the cafeteria to purchase snacks. Ron and Nancy developed a wonderful relationship over 2 full semesters, and the two became great friends.
Things people do to me makes little sense. Like when I'm being discriminated against, but what they don't know, I'll never be bent. I persevere through high resilience.
When we listened to direct support leaders describe what they do when building community, we organized their best practices into 12 themes, which are represented by the Everyday Heroes quilt. When you listen to the stories of direct support professionals, look for the 12 themes. Notice the many ways that people use their hands, their hearts, and their minds to change the world for people with disabilities.
I feel pain like you do, and I feel anger like you do, and I feel sadness like you do, and I feel joy too. I need loving like you do, and I need grief like you do.
Direct support professionals deserve applause for their everyday heroic labors, for engaging people to a deeper relationship with family, friends, and neighbors. They are exceptionally caring and constantly cheering, creating contributions through work and volunteering. These staff raise people's self-esteem by using words like, yes you can and I knew you could, while building connections within their neighborhood. Their dedication decreases people's isolation, improves methods of communication. They build membership without hesitation. Although every story is not recorded and every hero cannot be heard, they are greatly appreciated for taking visions to new heights and soaring people's dreams just like a bird.
I met Joe 3 years ago. He had a great personality, but he would rarely come out of his room. A friend gave Joe an albino frog as a gift, and Joe became instantly attached. I used Joe's interest in the frog as bait to get him motivated to make a community connection. We started by reading up on the frog's life, which led us to the local pet store to buy supplies. His frog grew and grew and grew as Joe discovered a funny thing. The frog ate the fish he bought for the tank. He ended up buying a 50-gallon tank just for his frog. Joe has since made a special connection with the owners and employees. He is a regular customer, and they all are great friends. Through our adventures, Joe has evolved from a quiet, reserved person to an outspoken, friendly socialite. Joe and I have given many talks about his frog. At first, he would stand in the back of the room. Joe will now stand proudly next to me and tell the story himself. Who could have ever imagined that the frog could open so many community doors?
Barbara grew up in a developmental center and hurt herself so much that blanket restraints and even a lobotomy were used to control her behaviors. Even after interventions were discontinued, Barbara continued wrapping herself in a blanket. Over time, she lost her sight, which only encouraged her isolation.
I first met Barbara following her move to our group home. She still would not come out from underneath her blanket. My first strategy was to enter her room and to talk to her just inside her door. She let me get closer and closer to her bed and finally touch her without screaming or physical resistance. Eventually, Barbara was ready to venture into the community. At first, she did not want to get into the van, but she calmed down when I turned on the radio or when I sang one of her favorite songs. Again, music was the key. Barbara shops in the stores, always carrying that item with her. She will replace the old item in her hand with a new selection that she wants to buy. Most notably, she is now a regular at the library. That's a quiet place that really tests her progress. Here she borrows CDs and enjoys textured books. Barbara is a courageous woman to try so many new activities when she can't see.
I began working with Jose when he was a teenager. He wanted friends. He also had a tremendous need to be as independent as possible. I wanted to support Jose's interests. He learned to make purchases on his own, bag the items, and get the right change. He was also proud to pick up his own medication. I encouraged my sons to connect with Jose through their mutual love of basketball. My children did not see him as a person with a disability, but rather as a friend, even a fourth brother. They still play basketball often, even though Jose has moved to another home. One of the ways that we explored our lives was by making relationship maps for each of us. Jose knew from his relationship map that he was closer to staff than his own mother. I realized that I was closer to my in-laws and people at work than to my own family. We both decided to make changes to improve relationships in our lives. I renewed my relationship with my mother by doing more things together with her. This was very significant for me because she died soon after. Jose has really grown, and you can see his increased confidence. He enjoys living in a smaller home and working at a real job in the community. It is great to see him making choices about his life.
I've worked with Sydney and Evan since we opened the takeout cafe 3 years ago. My co-workers were not sure that Sydney and Evan were the right people to work in the cafe, but I saw their potential. Our grand opening went well as we served coffee and donuts to customers. Even though Evan was shy, he smiled a lot, especially when customers said hello. Sydney spoke to everyone. Evan and Sydney enjoyed daily shopping trips to buy fruits and baked goods. Local merchants know them because they're back so often. They tell me when supplies are low or out, so we make a shopping list to restock. I encourage them to go into stores independently to make their purchases while I stand close by to support them. Menus are posted in the cafe and they love to take the lunch orders. They pick up the lunches and deliver them to each person. Over time, Evan has come out of his shell and Sydney has learned to respect boundaries. These men now walk with their heads held high. Their posture says, I am confident in who I am. They're always smiling. Evan is not shy anymore. Sydney is more focused and understands that he must respect people's personal space. They have both made more friends than we can count.
When I began working with the ladies of Vales Gate, I stressed to them the importance of being aware of oneself. I wanted them to know that each of them is beautiful in their own way. I wanted the ladies to learn that they could develop a personal style or look, starting with their nails. Manicure appointments were scheduled on a regular basis at Lee's Nails. The first few visits to the salon were a real test of faith for me and the ladies. I realized that we gained courage and acceptance as customers. Thelma and Barbara found ways of their own to relate to Lee, the owner, and the employees. They learned to select their polish colors without assistance. With each trip, they became more comfortable. We have been regular customers for more than a year. I remind Barbara and Thelma that people often judge others by what they see. We check out the latest fashions in the magazines and when shopping. But it's more than just fashion. By patronizing the local salons, we have helped the community members accept us as neighbors and paying customers and as friends. Our community connections have helped Barbara and Thelma to raise their self-esteem to a new height. That's the magic.
When rehabilitation without walls became a reality, Beverly wanted to make choices about her life.
When I first came to work with Beverly, she was full of frustrations. She wanted to shop and to walk, two of her favorite things. She also told me she loved getting her hair done and wanted to find her own beauty salon. One day, we decided to go to the mall where Beverly found her hair salon. We went into the salon and met Dolores. Beverly was so excited about her hair appointment, and she loved the haircut so much that she wanted to continue with Dolores, and only Dolores. This was a start for Beverly to become more sociable in the community. I asked if she would like to go to the waterfront, where there are boats, water, and mountains to see. When Beverly says, "Yes, I would love to go," we go. We also volunteer at the soup kitchen, where Beverly has become well known to the kitchen staff. She has a special friend, Joe, who is Tuesday's cook, and they love to tease each other while dishing out the food.
By making choices, Beverly has assumed greater control of her life. Beverly is now a confident, helpful member of her community. She makes choices about how she can contribute on a daily basis.
I met Thais 6 years ago when she moved into her own apartment. I wanted to help her build a life in her new neighborhood, but Thais didn't speak. I needed to learn about her interests and find ways she could connect to her neighborhood. Thais and I went through magazines to find photos of things she enjoyed most. We made a collage out of the pictures to express her interests. We also went to the store to purchase a basket to hold items that represent her interests and hopes for the future. Since she didn't speak, working with images and objects really helped her communicate. She expressed her interest by pointing and clapping her hands. However, once we began communicating with objects, Thais began to use words. I learned so much more about Thais from her basket and collage than from her records. These items gave her a voice and provided me with insight to who she really is. She likes to get her hair and nails done, and she is a regular at the local beauty salon. We both became regulars around town, and I became so connected to her neighborhood that I decided to move there too. We recently added a beautiful flower to her basket to represent her growth from a seed into a flower. There has never been a flower quite like Thais before, and I'm happy to be a part of her life, watching her bloom.
I've known Tyrone for 3 years. During that time, he has become like a brother to me. While Tyrone is really quiet, he loves to help people and he likes sports, especially bowling. When I first met Tyrone, he was very isolated. He spoke just a few words which were sometimes hard to understand. So I've helped Tyrone build connections to his neighborhood. Doing this has helped him to speak more clearly. Since Tyrone loves to bowl, we chose the bowling alley as a focal point to build relationships. I'm proud to say that Tyrone is a regular at the bowling alley. I have helped him do things on his own, and now I stay in the background so that he takes more responsibility. Now Tyrone pays for our affairs, and he knows where to catch the bus and get off. He is a lot more independent and confident. I've learned from Tyrone that people with disabilities are just like you and me. Tyrone has emotions like I do. He has problems like I do. He has dreams and goals like I do. It is important to treat people like we want to be treated. They are no different because of their disability. I feel if a person makes an effort to work towards a goal and have support, they will be able to achieve that goal no matter who they are. Tyrone has helped me see this is true for all of us.
The Paul I met was an imaginative man without an outlet to express his creative gift. But I found we had a few things in common. We enjoy making people laugh, we have great imaginations, and we love to sing. We began to write and sing songs together. I encouraged Paul to be creative. I helped him refine the songs, and soon realized his broad range of talent. Paul asked if we could make a record, and though it seemed impossible, I never said no. With Everyday Heroes, I saw our chance.
We found a music studio nearby, but we needed funding. We convinced our agency that it would make a difference in Paul's life. They agreed to take the risk, and Paul's recording career began.
What thrills me is all the positive attention Paul's received. He's made and sold full-length CDs, starred in videos, performed live, and jammed with fellow musicians. I've observed Paul as he's witnessed his CD and DVD recordings and received standing ovations. I've seen him smile, some of the brightest smiles I've ever seen. People have marvelous gifts to offer, but some of them are in hiding. It takes just the right kind of attention to encourage them to come out and shine.
I met Anna more than 5 years ago. She wasn't able to communicate clearly, didn't hear well, and showed her frustrations by being stubborn. Now Anna has learned to communicate her needs in a variety of ways, and I found it was important to give Anna more details and be patient with her. I came up with a pocket-sized book that she could take with her everywhere she went. This book has pictures of everyday items she might need and places that Anna might like to go. The communication book really helps Anna when she works with the Meals on Wheels program in our community. She made a new friend, Layla. When she brings Layla her meals, Anna uses sign language and her book to communicate. Anna and Layla have a wonderful relationship. Anna teaches Layla new signs during their visits, and they enjoy each other's company. Anna now even uses some words to communicate, and she has the most expressive face. You can see she is so happy.
When Vanessa and I first met Michelle, she seemed sad. Her physical challenges made it hard for her to get out of the building for activities. She had trouble communicating with words. We knew Michelle's biggest dream was to become involved with children, so we made arrangements with a local preschool program for Michelle to read stories to them. She used her Dynavox, a voice synthesizer, to speak. The children were afraid at first, but when she played a song and asked the children questions, they became curious and came closer to see how she talks. Over time, they became very attached to Michelle.
Volunteering has brought excitement and happiness to Michelle. She loves to talk with the children at the daycare program. She also volunteers at the Batavia School for the Blind. Michelle can now be seen with a big smile saying, "I'm happy here." This experience has taught us that no matter what obstacle a person has, whether physical, emotional, or social, there are ways they can achieve their dreams.
When I met Wilbur, I learned he had a terminal illness and had been given 6 months to live. But Wilbur never lost his love of life, music, and Elvis. He shared with me his dream to visit Graceland and to record Elvis songs. I realized that it would be very important to support Wilbur in achieving these life goals. We located a music studio and arranged for him to record a CD. Wilbur has developed a close relationship and shares interests with the nurses and staff at Long Island Jewish Medical Center, where he receives ongoing care. The nurses are so fond of Wilbur, they purchased a karaoke machine for him so that he could enjoy his Elvis singing passion at home. Wilbur was finally able to take his vacation at Graceland. We stayed in the Heartbreak Hotel. We visited the famous Sun Studio where Wilbur recorded another song, Blue Suede Shoes on CD. He was invited to perform an Elvis act at a restaurant. It brought tears to my eyes, seeing him so happy and respected. It is amazing to know that a person given 6 months to live is alive and living his dreams years later.
Direct support work is more than just a job. It is our chance to make a difference in people's lives. And by doing so, we can change the world for us all.
Love is the answer. Equality for all. That's the fire. How could you look in my eyes and abuse me? How could you look in my eyes and refuse me? This is my life, not a movie. This is not news for your TV. I feel pain like you do, and I feel anger like you do, and I feel sadness like you do, and I feel joy too, and I need loving like you do, and I need greetings like you do, and I need the same things like you do. So treat I like I treat you. Such a thin line between love and hate. So patience and compassion I celebrate. What I can't control I appreciate, and everything else will fall in place. Things people do to me makes little sense, like when I'm being discriminated against. But what they don't know, I'll never be bent. I persevere through high resilience. I feel pain like you do, and I feel anger like you do, and I feel sadness like you do, and I feel joy too.